Hey, I'm Micki.
I'm Kat.
We are Cat and Mouse Astrology. Welcome to the full moon in Gemini. We are at the winter season, headed to the solstice.
So close to the solstice.
Well, we're almost to the winter season. Technically
Right,
speaking, it won't be here until we hit the solstice.
right. It's cold. It's cold where we are.
Feels like the winter season. Yeah,
But I have my new Taming the Tattered recycled cashmere hat on.
I like that. That's nice. That's very nice. I love it.
I'm an art hat collector.
It's a beautiful hat.
Sculptures.
I like the drums on the wall too.
Yeah.
Being a good Bowron drummer myself, but anyway, we got a very interesting moon. It's real slow out right now because Saturn has been essentially stopped for such a bit of a time now. So, and we've had Saturn square square Jupiter on
Oh.
the square to Jupiter. So that's a big deal because if y'all remember back to 2020, that was when we had the conjunction, right?
Yes, it was. Winter solstice.
That's right. We had the Saturn Jupiter conjunction and our lives changed. And now we're at the square from that conjunction. And this is the time where we take a look and go, oh, this is the opening square. Huh, what did we learn over this period of time? What does Saturn and Jupiter have to teach us? And what are we going to look forward to at the opposition? Huh.
Oh. Well, that's a lot of questions.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's like this had a big impact on everybody's lives in those ways that Saturn constricts, restricts, and
Organizes.
what?
Organizes.
Structures, organizes, yes, yes. Um, Saturn pulls in, Jupiter pushes out, Jupiter makes it bigger,
Mm-hmm.
Saturn makes it smaller, closer to home,
Mm.
takes it out and away. Um, Jupiter is the giant, the big benefic, the Jove is Jupiter's Santa Claus. Jupiter is Santa Claus,
Yeah.
and Saturn is the Grinch.
Yep.
So I don't know. Let's take a look at the chart, see what
Right.
else we have in here to mitigate this fun stuff. But it's definitely very interesting. Very.
Saturn conjunct. Okay, so to recap, Saturn conjunct Jupiter, the Great Conjunction, was winter solstice of 2020. We are now approaching winter solstice of 2024 and at the Saturn Jupiter square.
Correct.
And it kind of terrifies me to think about what will come at the opposition. I want, hopefully, it can be like a balance point. That point, like where the opposition isn't so much about like competition as it is like a balance. Anyway, that's my philosophizing to start us off.
I like that idea. I like that idea. And you see, we've we've just moved beyond this. We're at 13 and 15 degrees for this, but it's
Okay.
still very powerful and still within 3 degrees. It's a very powerful square. It's not going to disappear.
Yeah,
But
grab some coffee.
also, see, we've got sorry, excuse me, Jupiter in retrograde. It hasn't reached it yet because Jupiter's going backwards.
Oh, okay.
So Jupiter hasn't gone back yet to 13 degrees.
Okay.
It will again square uh, Saturn, and then it will move forward again. So
Okay.
Saturn has stationed and is now direct,
Sweet.
but because it's just recently stationed, I'd have to look up to see exactly when it's stationed, but it's in, I think, the last week it's stationed direct.
Well, let's look at 13.
Take a look
Pisces.
at 13. Yeah.
13 Pisces. A lady wrapped in fox fur.
A foxy lady. Ha,
You're an exploitative nobility lady.
yeah. Uh, interesting.
And Gemini,
This is Gemini. Right now it's at 15 degrees,
a woman activist in an emotional speech dramatizing her cause.
but we can see where the conflict lies.
Uh, Sometimes called class consciousness.
We could have bit of a class conflict going on here. Yeah, a wee
I
bit.
mean, there's always a class conflict going on. That's always the case. But there is a particularly heightened awareness of it at the
Well,
moment.
and that's because we've never had the stratification, even in the late 1800s. In
Is
the
it as bad as the robber baron days?
in the Gilded Age, it was not as bad as it is now.
Really?
Especially if you add how many people are in jail to it, and the fact that who's going to get rich. Oh, if you want to get rich, put your money in private jails because that's what's going to be happening.
Is that why they're distracting us with our phones all the time? Is that so that like is all the entertainment a distraction to keep us from realizing how bad it is and doing anything about it?
I don't know. It might be a good idea to put down our phones and look around, but
It might be.
I have been listening to Nick Dagan Best. He's an astrologer who does a lot of work with the Astrology podcast.
Mhm.
And sorry, with Chris,
Austin Coppock, dude.
yeah, yeah, with Chris Brennan, and he's out of South Africa,
Mhm.
and he wrote a book like 10 years ago on Uranus and Saturn, and he talks about the Uranus Saturn cycles that he's
Mhm.
and so he went into some historical things going on because we do have a Uranus, Saturn, and Pluto all moving into this configuration. We've talked about this before, right? Here we've got
Yeah.
the Pluto and then the Neptune and then the Uranus. Sorry, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, but Saturn is moving up to conjunct with Neptune.
Oh, like smack in between Pluto and Uranus.
Right. So what we
That's so dreamy.
it's all the outer planets. So the planet Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus are the outer planets, the transpersonal planets, and they've been doing some stuff which I won't get into the history of, but we've been feeling them right now with Pluto at 0 degrees, now moving into Aquarius. They're moving into a lovely um mini grand trine, we'll call it. They'll be sextile and trine with each other, right?
Hmm.
And with this configuration, this is kind of a long-term hum that we've talked about in the background that's definitely going to pull us into a different space. So it was really interesting. I recommend if you get a chance to listen to the interview with Nick Dagan Best. He talks about the history and where we're headed. And the dates that I wrote down is 2032. If we can make it, 2032, 2033, man, things are going to be better. So hang in there. Hang in there.
Okay, that's a solid chunk of time.
Better meaning what? Well, I think he was talking about the um, upheaval of the times
Yeah.
so that the we're in a time that is very similar astrologically to the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, the 1940s. So it's a time of upheaval.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's very interesting to listen to that. But we actually have a moon that's quite striking here, if you will. We got a big old cross right in the middle there.
Yeah, we do. Crossroads moon.
Crossroads moon. And a lovely trine,
What
though
is that? Mercury and Mars.
Mars, though I'm
Ooh,
backing off on lovely. Let's say there might be an ease of saying sharp words.
that's always nice and helpful.
It could be a good time to do like you know, say that thing you really need to say, get it planned out because you got some energy toward it.
Right.
We also have Mars in retrograde here.
But not Mercury at the moment.
No,
Doesn't look like it.
no,
Okay.
Mercury is no longer, it is now starting to go direct, but it's not out of its shadow.
Okay.
So we're kind of like you say, it's an interesting crossroads.
And a very, very strong Chiron Black Moon
Yeah.
opposition, which has been the case for a while, but the numbers change, the symbols change.
And you can't help but notice that we've got Mars opposite the little space in between Pluto and Venus. It's still within 5 degrees of each,
Mm-hmm.
that opposition. So that's still a pull that people may be feeling an oppositional energetic or something that could be impacting people. So why don't we take a little look at the degree of what's the sun at 23 Sag?
Yeah, let's see.
And maybe we want to read 24 too, because it's at almost 24.
Okay. Oh, I passed it. My book. 23, 24.
Yeah.
A bluebird standing at the door of the house.
Okay.
A bluebird standing at the door of the house. Or a chubby boy on a hobby horse.
A chubby boy on a hobby horse? That's 24? Huh. You got any interpretations for that one?
Uh, well, I mean, someone immature and probably pretty self-centered. It sounds like a toddler, right? Someone who's toddler-like.
Having a real good time on a pretend horse.
On illusions. Yes.
Uh, some delusions of grandeur.
Some delusions of grandeur.
What's our opposite? What's the moon at 23 or 24 of Gemini?
Children skating on ice. Or a gardener trimming large palm trees.
Those are so divergent.
They are, but there's children in both. And then there's like a gardener trimming large palm trees. Like, who trims palm trees? Why would you need to do that? In a tourist area?
Yeah, that's kind of odd, isn't it?
Yeah. So, like,
Mhm.
it's more class warfare. It's not leaving the palm trees to their own devices, trying to manicure palm trees.
I don't know. Geminis are twins, and moons are, the moon is our representing our emotions and feelings, our home, mother, those sorts of things. In that sense, children, being under the wing of the mother in a sort of traditional sense, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, Opposite the sun in the, you know, shoot the arrow, send it out there sign of Sagittarius, reach the moon, higher learning, higher education, um, uh, religion, uh, those ideals and things we want to reach for. The sun is in a really positive place. It's a really good placement for the sun there. And of course, Sagittarius um, is fire sign, so it likes the sun there, just in a general way.
I
So
say we stick with 23.
yeah, that's the bluebird at the door.
The bluebird at the door and the children skating on ice.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that one there. So Gemini, is ruled by Mercury, and sorry, I think Mercury is going to be there. and
Six.
a heavily impact on this because Mercury is also in Sagittarius, so it's kind of um, you know, as the ruler of Gemini, Mercury over here across from the moon is certainly speaking to this moon, right?
Six, yeah, six Gemini, an old-fashioned well.
Old-fashioned well. Ooh, toss your pennies in.
Mm.
Toss your pennies in. Let's make a wish.
It usually means it's something hand dug, that a lot of effort went into it.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you think of when you think of Sagittarius?
I think of open-mindedness and adventurousness, and a certain sense of spiritual awe and curiosity.
Hmm. And again, we have this mutual reception because, Jupiter rules Sagittarius
Ah,
and Mercury rules Gemini.
ooh.
So Mercury is in the home of, Mercury's over there visiting Jupiter's home, and Jupiter's over here visiting uh, Mercury's home. So they're hanging out in each other's houses. They got a lot in common right now. They're speaking to each other really well. So
Hmm.
those things that are mercurial are getting a big boost from the sun, especially as Mercury comes out of its shadow in this retrograde period, and it's going to be moving into conjunction with the sun. So there'll be a Kazemi coming up, and that's probably when this thing is going to feel enlightened. We'll feel some enlightenment from this.
Mm.
And there's a lot of energy again from Mars, and I think the only thing I'd be careful of is the ease with which it might be to say something we would regret saying later. Um, but it's certainly a good configuration for communicating strongly, right?
Hmm.
Communicating with authority, or maybe that's more sad. Give me some Mars ideas, Mars and communication.
I think it could be like a quick-wittedness.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, quick-wittedness. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Like maybe the blade cuttingness of Mars is more about like that concept of being impeccable with your word.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
could be very good for people who are writers,
Yeah.
or having to, or being again quick with the tongue, fast talker, fast
Yeah.
talker.
Quick-witted. I like quick-witted.
Uh-huh, I like that too. So what is Mars at 5? Did you read? You didn't
No,
read.
I did not.
Might be closer to 6.
Okay.
Might read 6 for that.
Five, an old-fashioned, quote, conservative woman is confronted by an up-to-date girl.
That's two symbolisms of that nature that we've had in this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the lady in the fox fur.
Yeah, the fox fur lady as opposed to the whatever the one was at
Uh,
15 degrees.
as opposed to the woman activist
Right. The
and
fox fur
engaged in a
lady
speech.
activist.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm burning your fox fur. It's terrible. And yeah,
right,
those are definitely opposed concepts,
right.
just in the fox fur lady. And read this one again too with Mars.
Ah, an old-fashioned conservative woman is confronted by an up-to-date girl. Old-fashioned coming up twice in today's chart. That
Yeah,
seems
and
totally
confronting with
unusual.
the modern or confronting with the activist, which to me, activism is a modern thing, but I,
Yeah, it is more up to date.
yeah. So I found that interesting. And what's interesting to me is because Pluto has just moved into 0 degrees Aquarius, And that reflects that, boy, we are in a changing place. And it's
Yes,
going to be, it may be tough for people who um, want to wrap themselves in a fox fur and not think about moving up into the future,
right.
right? It is hard for people to deal with change. And I don't think we're going to go back. That 0 degrees of Pluto says we're not ever going back to Capricorn again. It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. So whatever fingernails are hanging on to whatever they're trying to hang on to, it's inevitable. It might take till 2032, but it's inevitable that this I don't know, I'm going to call it the last class of patriarchy is probably, it's going to be hard as it goes out, but it is the last gasp of patriarchy.
Let's hope it's not just patriarchy, that this is the last gasp of
What would you like to add to that?
imperialism.
They're sort of one and the same.
Well, they work together for sure.
Yeah. Don't
Patterns of domination. How about that? Patterns of domination.
patterns of domination. Yeah, we'll have to see. Uh, that might be too broad.
It's all about hierarchy,
Yeah,
whatever it is, whether it's imperialism, whether it's patriarchy, whether it's heteronormativity, it's all about hierarchy. So down with hierarchy and with reciprocity.
in with reciprocity. And so, given in with reciprocity, what's our 9 degrees of Aquarius, which is Venus?
What do you have to say, Venus? You going to be another lady of some kind?
Should be, because it's opposite Mars, of course.
9 degrees Aquarius, a popularity that proves to be fleeting.
Ah, see, fits right in here. I think we're seeing a pattern. Feeling the pattern. Should we read? I don't remember what 0 degrees Aquarius is. We should look at that again too.
Yeah, okay.
Or one, because we're closer to one now.
An unexpected thunderstorm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's one? Because we're there now.
Well, one is an unexpected thunderstorm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're there now. So yeah, we have a wheel that's turning into the future, and it's very clearly turning there without a thought to the past. What do we have with here? Our opposition with the Black Moon in Chiron.
That's what I was just looking
Right.
at. 19 Aries for the Chiron. A young girl feeding birds in winter.
Have we been here?
That's
This
the symbol of this year
it
from the
is.
new moon that started this year.
It is. It's the new moon symbol.
Wow.
It's nice. I like that symbol. And then what's 19 Libra?
A Jewish rabbi performing his duties.
Huh,
Something sacred.
something sacred.
A sacred performance.
Something we're not really aware of. Black
Something
Moon.
we're not really aware of.
But it's
Something that you have a duty to do.
something that has to do with the people overall
Yeah,
in the sign of Libra. It's in the sign of, balance, let's put it that way.
right.
Right? The scales of
And
justice.
balance. Oh, a Jewish rabbi. And balance with Chiron, the wounded healer.
How do you see that?
I mean, just I'm thinking in current events and the conflations that we've seen with the horrors of Israeli occupation and the conflations with
Right.
Judaism and how unfortunate all of that is. And
Yeah, so
there's a
maybe
lot of pain there on
maybe
all
this
around,
heralds to a
and
healing.
it needs to be addressed somehow.
Maybe this heralds a healing in that area.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah. That's, it's an opposition,
right?
right? The healing is opposite from the acts of this um ritual.
I'm gonna look at the North Node. Two Aries, a cameo profile of a man and the outline of his country.
Read that again.
A cameo profile of a man and the outline of his country. It's like a comment on nationalism, it seems like.
Yeah.
Well, this just took a weird turn.
Yeah, it did. In the Aries Libra axis,
Yeah,
we're dealing with the North and the South node. And
right?
that's where we're supposed to be again letting go of those things, those lessons we already know, those things we've learned, that stuff we should be able to put into the past, the dragon's tail, the poop, and moving towards Aries. So Aries is where we should be headed, which,
Right?
where the healing is. So in a general way, that's our meeting. But we're going to have a big change very soon with this, right? As
Yeah,
the nodes shift into Pisces, Virgo.
right.
So everything is gonna, I mean, I am not the only one saying this, but there's the shift is so profound between, again, both Pluto moving permanently into Aquarius. We felt it last year. It tiptoed in there. And then the pending conjunction of Saturn with Neptune as Neptune moves into Aries.
Yeah.
Again, exactly sextile, and then it will also be sextile um, Uranus as it moves into Gemini. So we're going to feel a big shift. And with
Hmm.
Gemini and Jupiter both together uh, in Gemini, that's where we're going to feel some big energy change. So there's this pending thing we're feeling
Right.
so much in our world changes, I think. It's just a lot of change.
Yeah. And it's interesting the way things can like shift, but also the way you can feel them build. And the way that like it sometimes it takes a while before they're passed before you even realize that you've been able to breathe.
Yeah, yeah. What did we miss in this chart?
I feel like we just only didn't look at, did we look at Saturn 13 Pisces?
I think so. Look again though, and look at 14 too, because
Okay.
it's direct.
Must have been the first thing we looked at. 13, 14 Pisces. Oh yeah, that's the lady wrapped in fox fur.
Oh, right, yeah, the Foxburg gal.
Right, right,
Uh-huh, of course she is. Of course
right.
she is.
So we didn't look at Neptune, which is, oh, I think Neptune is still at the Garden of All Fulfilled Desires.
Ah,
Oh, the fertile garden under the full moon.
the fertile garden under the full moon. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, Neptune. So
right.
we gotta hold the vision.
Yep.
So where we're at this full moon. Difficult times of awakening class consciousness and some serious sacred duties to do some healing work.
And some balance needed that we're not really looking at or are unable to see where the balance is needed. And it's where the healing can happen after the balance starts
Yeah.
to occur.
We might not really get it until we get that Pluto, Neptune, Uranus sextile thing going on.
Right. Well, whatever we're doing here, we're going to feel it again because this Mars is retrograde.
Oh,
It's going to come back to this place again. It's going to trigger this. Um, the things will have moved on, but this Pluto won't have moved on. So this Mars Pluto configuration that is approaching is one of the things we're starting to feel, and that we're going to continue to feel. That's a buildup.
unexpected thunderstorm.
Yeah.
you can feel thunderstorms build,
Yeah,
like
the tension in the air, the electricity,
gates of perception. You can feel it in the air.
right? So
Wow.
it
All
feels like
right.
to me a time of, especially, with Saturn just moving off its station, so it's moving so slow. And with Jupiter in this opposition, this mutual reception with Mercury, which is nice, and especially at this time of year, in Sagittarius and Gemini, those are kind of celebratory. To me, it feels like a time to, you know, slow down and do some enjoyable things. Do some
Definitely.
Sagittarius things. Do the Santa Clausy stuff. Talk about the fun stuff. Talk about the things you enjoy. Venus is right there. Maybe talk about your family past with Pluto. Try to keep your communication not too sharp,
Mm-hmm.
and let things be slow and let things be enjoyable. And if you're feeling some tension, it's a slow build. So find some ways to pace yourself and to, find stress relief.
Yeah,
My advice.
that's good advice.
What do you think, Kat? You're always good at this.
Um, I'm just thinking about the lady in the fox fur and the other activist lady dramatizing her cause and the confrontation between old-fashionedness and the future.
Yeah.
I don't want to live in a world worse than robber barons. I want to hold the vision of a fertile garden.
Yeah. I like the fertile garden.
Yeah, I want
Let's
to
keep
hold
the
the
fertile
vision of a
garden.
fertile garden.
Fertile garden? Fertile garden? Yeah. God, let's keep that vision.
And the bluebird on the doorstep is the reminder that even though it's winter,
We have spring to look forward to.
it's always spring to look forward to.
That's right. That's right. So I say keep singing.
Bluebirds.
Keep singing. All right.
All right.
Have a lovely and wonderful and joyous full moon in Gemini.
Happy full moon.
Hi. See you next moon.